When did your healing session reveal your life was a lie? I am literally typing this from the parking garage attached to the therapist's office. It's Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., and my hands are shaking so bad I almost dropped my iPhone 14, which ironically is what started this whole catastrophe. I just found out my life is a well-manicured lie, and I'm sitting here trying not to throw up the lukewarm gas station coffee I bought earlier. Buckle up, Reddit, because I need to vent, and I need to know if I'm the crazy one here because I feel like I'm losing my mind. I don't even know where to start, honestly. This whole nightmare is supposed to be about healing our family unit, which, spoiler alert, was toxic dumpster fire thanks to my dad, Albert James, 59M, the achievement-obsessed parent. But the drama completely pivoted 2 sessions in, and now I'm the one reeling. The cast of characters in this Greek tragedy includes me, David Diaz, 22M. I'm supposed to be the narrator, the unexpected leader who is somehow holding the frayed ends together. Then there's my grandpa, Randy Ali, 71M, the family peacemaker who just wants everyone to get along and usually ends up being the silent, suffering martyr. But the real subject of this session, the reason we are paying a scandalous $347 an hour, is my sister, Lauren Fitzgerald, 24F, and her absolute genius for emotional chaos, or as I call it, love bombing 101. Lauren and I have always had this weird rivalry/protective bond. She's 2 years older, stunning, and has always known exactly what to say to get what she wants. She's the kind of person who leaves you feeling amazing, but then makes you question if you actually said the thing she's accusing you of 5 minutes later. The family therapy started because Dad, Albert, decided Randy, Grandpa, wasn't contributing enough to the family business, a small but moderately successful engineering firm on the 5th floor downtown. Dad's obsession with metrics and achievement is exhausting. He literally sends out quarterly performance reviews for holiday gatherings. Randy is 71. He should be enjoying his retirement, not dealing with Dad's spreadsheets about legacy optimization. So we grudgingly started the couple's therapy approach, even though it's family. The therapist, Dr. E, suggested we focus on communication pathways and emotional safety. Yeah, right. Our session last week was a train wreck. We were talking about something incredibly mundane, like who paid the $1,247 rent deposit on the lake house last summer. Lauren immediately jumps in, tears welling up. She can cry on cue, TBH, saying, "But David, you always minimize my contributions. I remember sending you the Venmo request for that exact amount, right before I paid the $85 plumber charge when the toilet backed up at your place in apartment 3B. I felt my chest tight." This is classic Lauren. She spins a reality where she is the victim and I am the forgetful villain. I said flat out, "Lauren, I specifically remember paying the deposit from the joint account. I also paid that plumber. It was Saturday 5:30 p.m. and I was wearing that stupid stained Star Wars shirt because I was cleaning the garage. The bill was $85, you're right, but I paid it." "Why are you saying you did?" She looked at Dr. E, her eyes glistening. "He's being aggressive, Dr. E. See how he attacks my memory. I tried to help him and now he's gaslighting me. I've put up with this for 2 years and 8 months now." My jaw literally dropped. 2 years and 8 months is the exact amount of time she's been dating her current boyfriend, Ethan. It was a completely random, misplaced detail. Like, why would you use that timeline in a conversation about a plumber from 6 months ago? Dr. E, bless her neutral soul, just write something down. Randy, true to form, just nodded sadly and mumbled, "We just need to find peace, children, peace." Dad, Albert, just cleared his throat and started talking about his projected earnings for Q4. Useless, I was fuming, but I knew if I kept arguing, I'd look like the defensive hothead. So I just said, "I'm not attacking your memory, Lauren. I'm stating a fact based on our bank records, which I can pull up right now." That's the thing, I'm usually meticulous about money and details. I track everything from the $43.67 grocery bill at Costco last week to the exact PTO hours I have left at work, 47.5 hours BTW. Lauren got weirdly defensive then. "Don't bring up money, David, that's below the belt. You know I've been struggling since Dad cut off my allowance because of that misunderstanding about the $200 withdrawals." She said misunderstanding. Dad called it straight theft when he found out she'd been pulling $200 cash out every week from his account using the debit card he gave her for emergencies. We managed to pivot back to Dad's obsession with achievement, but the seed was planted. Lauren's random, aggressive gaslighting attempt felt sloppy. It wasn't her usual polished technique. It felt like she was rehearsing lines for a different fight or covering for something completely different. I couldn't shake it. That night I was lying in bed trying to watch Love is Blind on Netflix, but my mind was just replaying her weird outburst. 2 years and 8 months. It kept echoing. I thought maybe she really is just mixing up memories because she's stressed. She's definitely been stressed lately. She looks exhausted and her Samsung Galaxy's battery is always dying at like 3% because she's glued to it. Then I remembered a conversation I had with her fiancé, Ethan, 30M, nice guy, loves hiking, probably too sweet for her, about 2 months ago. We were at a Chipotle arguing about who was going to pay the bill. Ethan looked stressed and he mentioned something totally casual that I just filed away until now. He said, "Man, I wish Lauren would just ditch the burner. It's stressing me out keeping track of her different stories." I remember laughing. I said, "You mean her work phone?" Lauren does some consulting that requires a separate line sometimes. Ethan just looked at me blankly, then his eyes flickered to where Lauren was ordering extra guac. He quickly recovered. Yeah, the work phone, she just keeps forgetting to charge it." Past me, the absolute clown accepted that instantly. But now, lying in bed, the pieces clicked into place. The $200 withdrawals that Dad freaked out about, the aggressive gaslighting about the plumber, the 2 years and 8 months timeline, and Ethan's slip about the burner. The math wasn't mathing. I texted her. I needed to see her reaction to a neutral, friendly check-in. Me 10:17 p.m. Hey, hope the session wasn't too rough today. You sounded really tired. Did you get any Talenti gelato? Remember how we used to get that after dad freaked out? Lauren 10:18 p.m. Lol, yeah, tired. Gonna crash. I'm taking the sleeping pills Dr. W prescribed. Don't worry. Me 10:19 p.m. BTW, remember you said you paid the plumber that Saturday? Ethan said he remembered paying it. Just trying to figure out which account it came from so I can track it for taxes. Silence. No typing dots. Read receipt Owen. I waited 5 minutes. 10. Lauren 10:35 p.m. Seriously, David. Why are you obsessing over $85? I paid it, just drop it, you're being dramatic. Are you drinking again? Stop spiraling. I was livid. I hadn't had a drink in 6 months. That's a huge boundary violation and a major manipulation tactic she knew would infuriate me. I decided right then I was done playing nice. I wasn't just investigating a family dispute anymore. I was investigating a potential personality disorder and financial fraud, and I realized I had to protect Randy, the peacemaker, from whatever financial games Lauren might be playing with his limited assets. The next day, Wednesday, I drove over to Lauren and Ethan's house. I didn't tell her I was coming. I parked my beat-up Toyota Corolla down the street right next to a black BMW that Ethan is definitely paying way too much for. I knocked on the door. No answer. I knew she was home because her 2018 Honda Civic was in the driveway. She loves working from home on Wednesdays. I texted her, hey, I'm here trying to drop off that book you wanted. Lauren 1:12 p.m. just stepped out for an emergency. Back in an hour. I raised my eyebrow. She doesn't have emergencies. She has coffee dates and Sephora runs. I checked her Instagram story. Posted 15 minutes ago. A photo of her perfectly organized IKEA desk, a Starbucks cup, and the caption, hustle day. She was lying with her whole chest, as the kids say. I knew I needed proof of the burner. I needed to see that second phone, but how? The Ring doorbell would definitely catch me trying to break in. I sat in my car for 20 minutes listening to my Spotify Sad Girl Hours playlist trying to figure out a move. I was shaking, partially from rage, partially from the adrenaline. Then I remembered Ethan. He's incredibly forgetful about tech. When we moved my dad's office from the 3rd floor to the 5th, Ethan literally couldn't remember the Wi-Fi password to save his life. I had set up all their smart devices, including the Apple Watch he was constantly wearing and the Find My iPhone setting. I opened the Find My app on my phone. Lauren had shared her location with me a year ago in case of emergencies. The green dot showed her right where she was, home. But then I saw another entry, one that I had forgotten existed because it was labeled with an old, unused email address, Fitzgerald Work Line, and it was also showing up as home. A second iPhone. My heart hammered against my ribs. I felt that full body shaking. It was real. The burner wasn't just a work phone, it was a secret phone. I drove to the nearest Target, bought a $15 burner phone of my own, the irony is not lost on me, and a massive Talenti gelato container. I was ready for Operation Burner Hunt. I came back to the house, still no answer. I called Ethan's office number. He answered on the second ring, sounding frantic. Hey David, what's up? I'm in a back-to-back Zoom meeting, inbox at 247, gotta make it quick. Hey man, look, I think Lauren is having a serious emergency. She's not answering her phone and I'm worried about her. She posted a weird Instagram story then went silent. Can you check on her? I lied shamelessly. Ethan sounded instantly panicked. Shit, okay, I am on the 5th floor. It'll take me 20 minutes to get home. Can you go check? I'll text you the garage code. Bingo, I didn't need to break into the house. I just needed access to the garage, which connects to the laundry room, which connects to the kitchen. 5 minutes later, Ethan texted me the gate code 1988 and the garage door code 9124. He added, dude, call me the minute you find her. Something is off. I drove around the block, typed in the codes, and pulled into the dim, slightly dusty garage. I felt like I was stepping into a spy movie, except I was wearing yoga pants and had stress acne on my chin. The house was eerily silent. The Ring doorbell didn't activate because I entered through the garage, which was good planning on my part. I slipped into the kitchen. The Starbucks cup from her Instagram was still sitting on the counter. The house smelled faintly of lemon zest, cleaning spray, and panic. I tiptoed to her office, which is always meticulously organized. She was gone, but her monitor was still on, displaying a complex Excel sheet. On her desk next to her dying Samsung was the shiny iPhone 14 she used as her main device. I looked around. Where would she hide a second phone? She's too smart to hide it in the usual spots. I saw the sleek black Peloton sitting in the corner. She hates that thing. It was just another achievement Dad demanded she buy. She uses it maybe once every 3 months. I walked over. Beside the Peloton, next to a basket of clean laundry she definitely hadn't folded, was a small dusty box labeled Apple Watch accessories. I opened it. Inside, nestled beneath a bunch of useless charging cables, was a cheap dark blue Samsung Galaxy. Old model, cracked screen, battery definitely dead. I pulled it out. My hands were shaking so much I almost dropped it. I plugged it into a charging cable on her desk, fully expecting it to not turn on. The screen lit up instantly. Battery at 47%, she'd been using it, and then the notifications started flooding in. 27 calls in the last hour, texts flashing up, and a long, aggressive thread of messages from someone simply listed as A. The texts were frantic. 1:05 p.m. Where are you? Why are you ducking me? We had an appointment. Lauren 1:07 p.m. I am in family therapy. You know I can't just leave. 1:08 p.m. Bullshit. That was yesterday. Don't lie to me. I need the money now. Lauren 1:10 p.m. I said I'll get it. My brother is here. He will notice. 1:11 p.m. I don't care about your brother. I need the $200 you promised. Meet me at the coffee shop on Main Street in 20 minutes. Don't be late. I'm serious this time. My breath hitched. The $200 withdrawals, the random outbursts, the frantic lying about being home. I scrolled further back. The dialogue was intense, emotional, but dark. Last night 9:55 p.m. Don't try to love bomb me, Lauren. I know what you are doing. I'm not Ethan. You owe me more than just money. Lauren, 9:57 p.m. I wait, what are you saying? I never said that. That never happened. At 10:01 p.m. You're remembering it wrong. You literally told me 2 years 4 months ago that you would leave him if I was ready. I stopped breathing. 2 years 4 months ago. Her relationship with Ethan is 2 years and 8 months old. The math was definitely not mathing now. She was cheating. No, not just cheating. This person was clearly in on some kind of long involved scheme, and it was threatening to completely derail her life. The gaslighting she was practicing on me was clearly practice for whatever hell she was putting A through. I looked at the text exchange from A today. Meet me at the coffee shop on Main Street in 20 minutes. I looked at the clock. It was 1:35 p.m. She was due to be at that coffee shop right now. I grabbed the phone. I knew I shouldn't have, but the rage I felt was blinding. I was going to expose this whole operation. I was going to call Ethan and tell him to get home now. I was going to send Dad this entire thread of texts. But then I remembered Randy, the gentle peacemaker. If this blew up, the achievement-obsessed Albert would crucify Lauren, and Randy would be devastated by the resulting family war. I needed to handle this without completely destroying the family structure, or at least give Randy some warning. I carefully took several photos of the most damning text threads. I closed the Samsung, placed it back in the box, and slipped out the garage, closing the door and typing in the reverse code to erase my entrance. I've watched too many spy movies, I guess. I sped to the coffee shop on Main Street. I pulled into the only available parking spot, which was like 40 feet away, and just sat there, heart racing, watching the door. I saw her. Lauren was sitting at a small table by the window fiddling with a Starbucks pastry. She was wearing a perfectly tailored blouse and looking immaculate except for the tiny bead of sweat running down her temple. She looked scared. Then the coffee shop door opened, and A walked in. A was Albert James, 59M, my achievement-obsessed dad. He walked straight up to her table, grabbed her wrist hard enough to make her wince, and pulled her close. I couldn't hear what he said, but the look on his face was pure, cold fury. Lauren looked terrified. She stammered, but I thought he interrupted her, shaking his head slowly. You thought wrong, Lauren. Now where is it? I need to know what you did with the accounts before the session today, and you better tell the truth this time. You're going back to therapy with David next week, and we need to get your story straight about the plumber. Do you understand? I am tired of cleaning up your messes. I watched them talking, but I felt deaf. My entire body went numb. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't even just gaslighting. This was something truly sick. Was Dad working with her? Was he covering for her? Was he the one getting the $200 withdrawals? Was she gaslighting me on his instruction to practice? My mind short-circuited. I suddenly realized why she used 2 years and 8 months and the plumber story. Those were dates and details she had recently been forced to rehearse or cover up. I started the car, pulled out of the parking spot, and drove straight here, the parking garage attached to Dr. E's office building. I couldn't go home. I couldn't process this. I just found out that my sister, the love bomber, and my dad, the achievement-obsessed parent, are running some kind of collaborative emotional manipulation racket, possibly involving financial fraud, and that the family therapy is just part of the cover story. I looked at the photos of the text messages again. The ones from A, who I now know as Albert, were not exactly fatherly. They were controlling, demanding, and absolutely terrifying. And the conversation about the plumber. He wasn't just correcting her memory. He was forcing her to stick to the fabricated lie they had created together. I felt my stomach drop again. I was supposed to be the unexpected leader, but I just realized I'm walking right into a trap they laid together using Randy as bait. I have session number 3 tomorrow. I'm supposed to sit in that sterile room with Dr. E, Randy, Lauren, and Albert, and pretend like I didn't just see the whole operation from the back of the coffee shop. I don't know what to do. If I reveal the burner phone and the texts, I risk exposing my dad as a controlling manipulator and my sister as potentially unstable, which will break Randy's heart. But if I don't, they're going to continue the gaslighting and drag me further into their toxic reality. I have the burner phone photos, I have the Find My data, and I have the knowledge that Albert is I feel sick. How can I confront them without causing an irreversible family catastrophe? And what in God's name do they need $200 cash withdrawals for every week that requires a burner phone and aggressive cover-up strategies? Is this about the family business or something darker? I just need to make it through the next 12 hours. I have to figure out a way to communicate this to Randy, the only person I trust, before we walk back into that office. I'm sitting here staring at the contact for Albert James in my phone next to the photos of the burner texts, and I realize I never really knew my family at all. I'm supposed to meet Randy for coffee tomorrow morning at Starbucks before the session. I need a plan. I think I need to bring the photos, all of them, and I need to tell Dr. E, but without alerting Lauren and Albert first. I have to survive the next session, and I have a feeling it's going to be brutal. I'm literally typing this from the parking garage attached to the therapist's office. It's Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., and my hands are shaking so bad I almost dropped my iPhone 14, which ironically is what started this whole catastrophe. I just found out my life is a well-manicured lie, and I'm sitting here trying not to throw up the lukewarm gas station coffee I bought earlier. I'll call up Reddit because I need to vent, and I need to know if I'm the crazy one here because I feel like I'm losing my mind. First part context ends here. Starting part 2 immediately. I spent the rest of that afternoon driving. Just driving aimlessly, listening to podcasts about true crime which NGL felt extremely relevant. I couldn't go home. I share an apartment with 2 roommates, and I knew if I walked in, I'd probably start screaming and they'd call campus security. I ended up at a cheap motel 40 miles outside the city limits. I used my credit card, which felt safer than using the debit card linked to the joint account that Dad monitors so closely. I sat in that gross beige room with the weirdly textured wallpaper, just staring at the screenshots of the texts. 1:05 p.m. Where are you? Why are you ducking me? We had an appointment. Last night 9:55 p.m. Don't try to love bomb me, Lauren. I know what you're doing. I'm not Ethan, you owe me more than just money. At 10:01 p.m. you're remembering it wrong. You literally told me 2 years 4 months ago that you would leave him if I was ready. Albert James, my dad, achievement-obsessed parent, running a financial and emotional racket with my sister, the love bomber, who was clearly being terrorized by him, and the therapy just a tool for control. It was designed to keep us all in the same room so they could monitor my reactions and make sure I wasn't figuring out the scam. I didn't sleep. TBH, I watched The Office reruns and stress-ate the entire Talenti container. I had maybe 3 hours of patchy, paranoid half-sleep. My biggest concern was Randy, Grandpa, 71M. He's the sweetest guy, the family peacemaker, and he cannot handle conflict. I knew if I threw this grenade in the therapy session, it would destroy him. He views the family as his life's work, and the idea that his son Albert and granddaughter Lauren were running a scam together would absolutely gut him. I had planned to meet Randy at the Starbucks near the office building at 8:00 a.m., 2 hours before our 10:00 a.m. session. The Starbucks confession, I got there early at 7:45 a.m. I looked like absolute hell. I was wearing the same clothes, I hadn't shaved, and my eyes felt like sandpits. Randy walked in at 7:58 a.m., crisp in his favorite blue cardigan and looking exactly like a man who just wants his family to stop fighting. He immediately saw me and frowned. "David, are you all right, son? You look pale." "I haven't slept, Grandpa. We need to talk, and we need to talk fast. And please just listen until I'm done. Don't interrupt," I said, my voice low and shaking a little. He set his mug down, black coffee, 3 sugars, the usual. He looked nervous, sensing the shift in my tone. "Okay, David, I am listening." I pulled out my phone and laid the 3 photos of the burner texts on the table. I pointed to the contact name at the top. "Hey, Grandpa, this is Lauren's secret phone. I found it yesterday. She's been using it to communicate with someone she calls A, demanding money, talking about covering up financial stuff, and using aggressive, controlling language." Randy leaned in, squinting at the screen. "His name is Albert, David. That's Albert James, your father." I nodded, feeling the familiar tightening in my chest. "I know, I saw them yesterday. I followed Lauren to a coffee shop when she claimed she was home and she was meeting Dad. He was screaming at her, demanding to know where the money went and forcing her to rehearse the gaslighting lines we talked about in therapy, specifically the plumber lie." Randy just stared at the photos. His face went completely slack, like all the muscles just gave up. His hand, which was holding the coffee mug, started trembling, and I quickly moved the mug away before he spilled it. "No," he whispered, his voice cracking. "No, Albert wouldn't. He's difficult, obsessed with success, yes, but he wouldn't conspire against his own son and his daughter's fiancé. That's wicked, David." Grandpa read the texts. Read where A says she owes him money and A says he's not Ethan. Read where she's using the 2 years and 8 months timeline. That's how long she's been dating Ethan, and A is talking about her promising to leave Ethan for him 2 years and 4 months ago. Randy finally picked up the phone again. He scrolled through the images, reading the dialogue slowly. I could see the color draining completely from his face. When he got to the text about "I am tired of cleaning up your messes," a tear rolled down his cheek and fell onto the table. He didn't speak for a full minute. He just looked out the window, looking so old and broken, and I instantly regretted making him see this. This was the exact catastrophe I wanted to avoid. "He's been blackmailing her," Randy finally said, his voice flat. "He's been using the money he cut off from her allowance to control her, making her do his dirty work and likely funding whatever $200 weekly withdrawal scheme they have going. It's always been about control for Albert." I felt a massive wave of relief that Randy wasn't immediately dismissing me or defending Albert. He was connecting the dots. "The whole therapy is a farce, Grandpa," I said quietly. "It's a place for them to test their shared narratives and see if Dr. E buys it or if we buy it. They need us to believe Lauren is the volatile one so we don't look closer at Dad's finances or their connection." Randy wiped his eye quickly. The peacemaker was gone. In his place was someone cold and sharp. The shift was instant and palpable. "We go to therapy today," Randy stated. "But we are not going in unprepared. We are going to use Dr. E the way she is meant to be used to facilitate the truth. David, you are going to give me the photos. I'll print them off at the FedEx office down the street, put them in an unmarked envelope, and pass them to Dr. E the minute we walk in before Albert and Lauren even sit down." I was shocked. "Grandpa, are you sure? That's going to blow everything up." "I am sure," he said, standing up. "My son is a monster and he is dragging my granddaughter into his mess. I will not stand by and be the quiet, suffering martyr anymore. If I let this continue, I'm enabling them. We expose him, David, and we use Dr. E as the shield. She is bound by ethics and confidentiality." I quickly airdropped the photos to his phone. He walked out, his back straight, heading for FedEx. I stayed behind, ordered a large coffee, and tried to gather my nerves for the upcoming session, which was now scheduled to be a nuclear meltdown. Session 3, the nuclear option. I drove to Dr. E's office. Randy was already in the waiting room when I got there, looking slightly less composed but definitely more determined. Albert and Lauren walked in 30 seconds later, perfectly synchronized, both wearing slightly smug expressions. They looked like 2 people who had rehearsed their lines and were confident they were about to ace the performance. "David," Lauren chirped, her eyes wide and innocent. "So glad you made it. I was worried you were still spiraling after our text last week." She was smiling, but her eyes were flicking nervously between me and Dad. Albert gave me a tight professional nod, his expression unreadable. The mask was firmly in place. We walked into the session room. Dr. E was already seated, her notepad open. She's usually very calm, but today I thought I detected a flicker of tension in her eyes, almost like she was anticipating trouble. As we were settling into the leather armchairs, Randy, instead of sitting down, walked straight past Albert and Lauren and put the unmarked manila envelope right in Dr. E's hand. "Dr. E," Randy said, his voice measured and clear, "I need you to look at this now, before we start. It's critical information that David and I discovered, and it changes the entire context of why we are here." Albert froze. Lauren's smile vanished. She looked like she was about to bolt out of the room. Dr. E, true to her professional training, kept her face neutral. Of course, Randy. She opened the envelope and slid out the printed screenshots. She laid them flat on her lap, obscured from Albert and Lauren, but I could clearly see the text headers. She started reading. The silence in the room was deafening. You could hear the AC unit humming. Albert was literally vibrating in his chair, leaning forward, trying desperately to see what she was holding. "Grandpa, what did you just give her? What are you trying to pull?" Lauren demanded, her voice suddenly high and thin. Dr. E held up a hand. "Please, Lauren, let me review this information. It is relevant to the safety and well-being of the family unit." She spent a solid 2 minutes reading, turning over the pages. Her face remained a mask of professional concern, but when she looked up, the concern was now focused entirely on Albert. "Albert," Dr. E said, her voice slow and firm, "can you confirm the contact A in these messages is you?" The mask fell off. Albert went from corporate professional to enraged predator in 3 seconds flat. "What is this? This is an invasion of privacy. David, what sick game are you playing? You're stealing private information. This is defamation," Albert roared, launching half out of his chair. "Sit down, Albert," Dr. E commanded, her tone dropping to a level that surprised even me. She was not messing around. "Dr. E, those texts are being taken out of context," Lauren jumped in, attempting her classic love bomber defense. "David is obsessed with control and he's fabricating a reality. He has been drinking again and he's projecting his own issues onto us. He's spiraling." I felt the rage boiling, but I stayed perfectly still. I had Randy on my side now and I had the photos. "Lauren," Dr. E said, ignoring the attempted gaslighting, "these texts specifically reference the $200 cash withdrawals and the need to get your story straight about the plumber. They also reference a romantic relationship 2 years and 4 months ago, which A is clearly using as leverage." "Are you saying these are fabricated?" Lauren stammered. "I don't know what you're talking about. I delete all my old texts." "David is hacking my phone. This is illegal," Randy spoke, his voice quiet but devastatingly authoritative. "Lauren, you were seen yesterday by David being confronted by your father at the coffee shop on Main Street. 20 minutes after your father, using the name A, demanded that you meet him there to discuss the money and your cover story for this session. Your father also called you a liar and grabbed your arm. We have the photos of the text messages and David witnessed the physical altercation. This is not fabrication, this is collaboration." Albert went completely silent. He just stared at Randy, his own father, with pure hatred. Dr. E leaned forward. "Albert, it is clear from these texts that you are using aggressive tactics and emotional blackmail to control Lauren and potentially to manipulate financial data. Given the severity of the alleged coercion and the clear violation of the terms of therapy, which requires honesty and emotional safety, I cannot in good faith continue this session as scheduled." She looked at me and Randy. "David, Randy, I believe you. I have serious concerns for both of your physical and financial safety, and for Lauren's emotional safety given the context of these communications. Albert, Lauren, I recommend you seek immediate individual counseling and possibly legal consultation regarding financial matters. I am terminating this family therapy relationship effective immediately." I was stunned. I expected screaming, denials, maybe a slow breakdown. I did not expect the therapist to immediately terminate the whole thing and validate us completely. Albert finally spoke, his voice low and dangerous. "You think this is over, David? You think you can ruin my reputation? You will regret this. I will make sure you never work in this town again." "Albert," Dr. E warned, "that sounds like a threat. If you continue to threaten your family members, I am obligated to report it." He didn't care. He stood up, grabbed Lauren's arm gently this time, but still possessive, and dragged her out of the room. Lauren was quietly sobbing, but it looked like genuine terror, not the crocodile tears she uses for manipulation. When the door slammed shut, I just deflated. I slumped back in my chair, suddenly exhausted. "Well," I managed, looking at Randy, "that was brutal, but we survived." Randy just looked at Dr. E. "What do we do now, doctor?" Dr. E took a deep breath. "This is no longer a relationship counseling issue, Randy. This is potentially fraud and emotional abuse. David, you need to secure your financial safety immediately. Change all passwords, move your accounts, and get a consultation with a lawyer who specializes in complex financial relationships." She then added, looking serious, "And you need to tell Ethan, Lauren's fiancé. He is clearly being targeted as well." That last part hit me like a truck. Ethan, the poor sweet guy who just wanted to hike and was completely blind to the mess he was marrying into. The Ethan problem. I spent the next 3 days recovering. Randy and I agreed to lay low. Randy moved some of his personal, non-family business assets into an account Albert didn't know about. I changed my bank accounts and moved all my liquid cash. I also filed a police report documenting Albert's verbal threat. I felt ridiculous, like I was overreacting, but Dr. E said documenting everything was crucial. 3 days after the therapy session, which I am calling the Great Unmasking, I decided I couldn't wait any longer on Ethan. I had to tell him. I texted him, "Hey man, can we grab a beer? Need to talk about Lauren, something serious." He responded instantly, "Yeah, I was wondering what happened. She's been super weird and crying constantly since Tuesday. Says the therapy session was traumatic. I'm at the Dogwood Pub on 4th. Meet me in 30. I showed up at the pub. Ethan looked terrible. He was hunched over a pint of IPA, running his hands through his hair. "Dude, what's going on?" he asked, not meeting my eyes. "She's been trying to cancel the wedding venue deposits all morning. Said she needed the cash for something else. I had to literally wrest the checkbook from her." I took a deep breath. I decided to use Randy's technique, just lay the evidence out and let him react. "Ethan, I found Lauren's secret phone, the one you called the burner months ago." His eyes widened. He knew, deep down he knew. "She said it was an old client phone she kept for archiving data," he mumbled. "It wasn't. It was for communicating with Albert, my dad." I pulled out my phone and showed him the exact same texts I showed Randy. The ones about A not being Ethan, the 2 years and 4 months timeline, the demands for $200 cash, and the gaslighting practice. Ethan read them. He read them 3 times. He didn't speak, he didn't cry, he just turned white and then completely green. Oh my God, he finally breathed out, pushing the IPA away. I need tequila or a lawyer or both. He looked up at me, his eyes full of anguish. She's been stealing from me, hasn't she? The $200 withdrawals. I kept thinking I was losing track of the joint account balance. She blamed me for being forgetful. She blamed me for the low balances. She made me feel crazy. That's what she was practicing on me too, I confirmed. It's classic gaslighting, Ethan. She uses fear and love bombing to control you, and Dad uses money and intimidation to control her. They were using this whole situation to fund something we don't know about yet. Ethan stood up abruptly, knocking his chair back. I'm going home. I need to see if she's packed a bag. I can't be in the same house as her right now. I'm calling my sister. She's a CPA. She'll know how to lock down my accounts. He paused, looking completely devastated. She was my world, David. We were getting married in 4 months. I know, man. I am so sorry. She wasn't cheating on you with a random guy. She was involved in some kind of twisted, controlled relationship with our dad that involved stealing money from you and others. I'm telling you this because I care about you and Randy cares about you. We need to stick together on this because Albert is not going to take this quietly. He nodded stiffly. Thank you, David. I mean it. I would have married her and never known what hit me. He left without touching his beer. I finished my own, feeling immensely heavy. I had just destroyed my sister's wedding, but I had saved Ethan from a lifetime of financial and emotional abuse. It was a victory, but a bitter, painful one. Fast forward to Friday. The blowback, the fallout was immediate and predictable. Albert didn't call me. He went straight to the nuclear option. Friday morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and a text chain from my mom, who lives 3 states away and is usually oblivious to family drama. Mom, 7:03 a.m. David, call me immediately. Your father is livid. He says you sabotaged the therapy and made false claims to the doctor. Mom, 7:05 a.m. He says you are unstable and he is withdrawing his financial support from your college fund. Mom, 7:08 a.m. Lauren is hysterical. She says you ruined her life. My immediate reaction was panic, the college fund. Albert was still paying a significant chunk of my tuition since I was technically part-time working for the firm as an intern, a requirement for his funding. I called Randy. He's cutting me off, Grandpa. Tuition is due next month. Randy was incredibly calm. I expected this. Listen, David, Albert knows I moved assets. He can't touch me anymore. But he is going to leverage every piece of control he has left. We need to neutralize the college fund threat. Randy told me he had contacted a family lawyer, a specialist in intergenerational business law, and that he had already set up a meeting for Monday. We are not fighting him head-on in court over the burner phone, David. We are fighting him over the family business. I'm going to challenge his management decisions, starting with his ridiculous achievement metrics and his use of firm funds for personal matters like, say, funding Lauren's $200 weekly cash withdrawals using the company credit line before he forced her to steal from Ethan. I realized then that Randy wasn't just worried about protecting me. He was reclaiming his legacy from his monster son. He was ready to fight. The gentle peacemaker was now the strategic general. It was amazing and terrifying to watch. The lawyer consultation, as predicted by my self-aware brain, was $300 just to tell me I was screwed, but Randy's approach might save us. We discovered that Albert had been pulling substantial consulting fees from the engineering firm fees that mirrored the timeline of Lauren's 2 years and 8 months timeline with Ethan, and the 2 years and 4 months timeline with A when he was coercing her. It was all tied together. Albert was running a shadow business through the main firm and he needed cash fast. Lauren was just a pawn, used to get quick liquid cash from various sources, Dad's original debit card, Ethan's joint account, maybe even Randy's. Update: this morning, a Monday, the office showdown. A week went by where I was essentially hiding. I quit my internship at Dad's firm via email, petty yes but necessary, changed my phone number and forwarded my mail to a secure mailbox. This morning was the lawyer meeting, but before that I had one final logistical nightmare to address: my car. I had left my Corolla at the motel and needed to pick it up. I had borrowed Randy's older SUV in the meantime. I was driving Randy's SUV downtown when I got a text from Ethan. Ethan, 8:35 a.m. Lauren is gone. Took a suitcase and the family dog. Left a note saying she was going somewhere where people appreciate me. Also, I found 3 more old credit cards maxed out. I'm filing a police report for theft this morning. I sighed, poor Ethan. I hope the dog Buster was okay. I drove past the engineering firm on the 5th floor downtown, the scene of all Albert's achievement obsession, and decided stupidly to grab my own car keys from the emergency hide-a-key box near the office door. I still had the keys for the main office in my old desk. I figured if I went in before 9:00 a.m., it'd be safe. I was wrong. I walked into the 5th floor office at 8:47 a.m. intending to grab my key and bolt. The office was dimly lit, but the lights were on in Albert's corner office. I heard voices raised and frantic. I tiptoed down the hall. I heard Albert's voice, cold and furious. You think you're safe, Randy? You think David's little stunt with that incompetent therapist is going to stick? I own this company. I will dismantle everything you built. Then I heard Randy's voice, my grandpa. Randy was absolutely shouting. This is MY legacy, Albert, not yours. You leveraged company funds to run a blackmail scheme on your own daughter and embezzled profits to pay off whatever debt you incurred with your illegal side venture. I have the accountant's full report and you are finished. I peeked around the corner. Randy was standing across the desk from Albert, holding a massive stack of papers. He was still wearing his blue cardigan, but his face was red, his glasses were slightly askew, and he was shaking with pure righteous anger. Albert laughed a horrible, chilling sound. You think you found something, old man? Good luck proving it. I've been structuring these funds for 3 years. You're too late. 2 years and 8 months, Albert, Randy corrected him, the detail landing like a punch. That's the timeline. That's when you started using Lauren as your pawn. You used the exact duration of her relationship with Ethan as a timeline for your own twisted control. You didn't just hurt me, you hurt that boy, and you emotionally destroyed your own daughter just to fund your gambling habit. Gambling habit, that was the missing piece. The high-risk, quick cash needs, the $200 weekly demands. Albert wasn't running a secret second company, he was bleeding the primary company dry to cover massive personal losses. Albert lunged across the desk. I thought he was going to hit Randy. You don't talk about that, Albert shrieked. You don't talk about my business. It's my business too, Albert, and I'm shutting you down, Randy yelled back. This was my cue, I ran in. Grandpa, stop. Albert immediately straightened up, smoothing his tie, going back to the mask, except his eyes were still wild. David, you here to beg for your tuition back? I'm here to make sure you don't touch Randy, I said, putting myself between them. My heart was pounding so hard I thought I might pass out. This is not your fight, David. Go home, Randy said, not taking his eyes off Albert. It absolutely is my fight, I insisted. Albert, you have destroyed this family. Randy and I have all the documentation. We have Dr. E's testimony and Ethan is filing police reports. It's over. You can't gaslight your way out of financial crimes. Albert looked at me and his expression shifted from rage to cold pity. You think you're so smart, David. You think you've won. You have nothing. You lost your sister, you lost your tuition, and you're about to lose your grandpa. He's had 2 hard episodes in the last 5 years. You think this fight is worth killing him? That was the lowest blow. Using Randy's health as a weapon, Randy put a hand on my shoulder. Don't listen to him, David. He's projecting. I am not letting you fight him alone, Grandpa. I am done being the silent victim, I said, looking Albert straight in the eye. I'm calling the lawyer right now. I called the lawyer, Mr. Chen, on speakerphone right in front of Albert. Mr. Chen had been waiting for the go-ahead. Mr. Chen, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. We are ready to proceed with the filing. Albert James is currently making threats and refusing to release financial documentation as requested. Mr. Chen's voice, calm and professional, filled the room. Understood, David. The injunction is being filed with the court right now. Albert, you are officially restricted from accessing any further company assets until the financial audit is completed. Any attempt to move funds or contact the firm's clients will result in immediate arrest and charges of contempt. Albert just stood there, staring at the phone. He didn't rage, he didn't fight, he just looked utterly defeated. This is what your obsession with achievement got you, Dad, I said, putting my phone down. You didn't want legacy optimization, you wanted control. Randy walked past Albert, picked up his briefcase and nodded at me. Come on, David, we have to meet Mr. Chen. We left Albert standing there alone in the dim office on the 5th floor, so it's been 2 weeks since the filing. The financial reality has been brutal, TBH. Albert did follow through and cut off my tuition funding. I had to scramble. I took out emergency student loans and picked up a double shift at my part-time job. I'm eating ramen every day, but I'm sleeping peacefully, so it's worth it. My credit score took a hit from the sudden loan application, but I'll recover. Randy has been incredible. He put up the cash for the initial legal fees and he has completely taken over running the engineering firm, which is surprisingly successful without Albert micromanaging everything. He told me he's planning to dissolve the corporation and start a new one, naming me as a junior partner after I graduate. I cried. Lauren hasn't reached out and honestly I don't know if she ever will. Ethan filed the police report. Apparently the maxed out credit cards amounted to about $14,000 in debt she incurred in the last year, which she blamed on unforeseen medical bills. Ethan is getting therapy and is moving back in with his sister. He's sad but relieved. He texted me yesterday. I changed the Netflix password. It felt amazing. I laughed so hard. As for Lauren, we heard she went to stay with an old college friend in Portland. Randy sent her a non-judgmental letter via certified mail explaining that he loves her but she needs to separate from Albert and seek intense counseling, and that until she does, he can't financially support her. I still worry about her. She's not inherently evil, she's just completely lost and has adopted Albert's tactics to survive. She's the damaged product of the achievement-obsessed parent. Dr. E has been amazing. She actually called me twice just to check in and she's helped me find a new therapist for individual sessions. She said I handled the termination session with more grace and clarity than she often sees in patients twice my age. I call it Monday, but okay, doctor. I am 4 sessions into my own therapy now and I am unpacking layers. I realized I spent my entire life trying to be meticulous, tracking receipts, bills, details, because the only way to survive Albert and Lauren's constant gaslighting was to be an undeniable fact machine. I wasn't just organized. I was pathologically verifying reality just so they couldn't take it from me. I still have bad days. Yesterday, I saw a black BMW similar to Albert's at Trader Joe's, and I literally hid behind the organic cereal display until I was sure it wasn't him. The paranoia takes time to fade. Final reflection, I'm sitting here in my new tiny apartment, a shoebox, but it's mine. No one is monitoring my bank accounts, no one is demanding I rehearse my lies, and no one is screaming about legacy optimization. I went from thinking I was the crazy one obsessed with an $85 plumber bill, to realizing I had stumbled onto a deep, dark financial and emotional conspiracy run by my own father, using my sister as a weapon and a shield. The entire family therapy process was the catalyst for the discovery, but it wasn't the solution. The solution was boundaries, documentation, and the quiet, fierce determination of the family peacemaker finally pushed too far. Randy is the real unexpected leader here. I thought it was me, David Diaz, the narrator, but I was just the catalyst. Randy stepped up and saved the entire structure, not the family unit as it was, which was toxic, but the healthy parts of the family. The irony is that Albert's obsession with achievement led to his most spectacular failure. He achieved nothing but a legal injunction and a lifetime ban from the company he thought he controlled. I'm taking next semester off to save up money, work with Randy at the firm legally now, and focus on therapy. I feel lighter even though the situation is infinitely more complex and expensive. The story isn't over. The legal battles are just starting, but I know I am not crazy. I know my reality is firm. And that's a win bigger than any quarterly performance review Albert could have invented. Anyway, that's the update. We'll update if anything else insane happens, like if Lauren actually sends me a Venmo request for that plumber bill. I am ready for it. I have the receipts, literally. Thanks for letting me vent. This truly helped me process the chaos.